what surprised you most about the results of this survey?
Morning, Peter. Thank you. Look, I think that the two things surprised me most were the relatively positive outlook of Australian CEOs, a bit more positive actually than their global counterparts, is the first thing. And the second thing is some of these risks that have started to come through, as you pointed out in your introduction, especially in relation to talent and supply chain, as you've raised, and the bringing forward of digital investment, which is obviously crucial given business conditions.
Why are they so positive? Is it because we've been able to keep that caseload quite low when it comes to COVID?
I suspect, Peter, there's two issues. The one is, as a leader, I think it's important that any leader shows some element of positivity within a realistic framework, of course, and I think any leader seeks to do that. So I think that's a natural bias, if you like, towards positivity. But second of all, parts of our economy are operating pretty well, although there are parts that are really struggling. So I think it probably depends on which part of the economy you're in. But overall, we're not in bad shape compared to many other economies.
What are CEOs saying about what needs to happen going forward? I mean, what comes to mind, obviously, is that perhaps more people will be working from home, and so there might not be a need to head into the office in the CBDs.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think it's somewhat strange, in fact, that the top risk identified by CEOs is the issue of talent, because on one view it's counterintuitive given the levels of unemployment are rising. But of course, in parts of the economy and in certain sectors, there is higher demand than there is supply of certain skill sets. And so linked to the other issue that came through the survey around purpose being really important, and purpose, of course, links to individuals, it links to people, it links to stakeholders, including employees and communities. So I think that is important. And then, of course, there's many industries, ours included, where you've got large numbers of people working remotely and from home, and that, of course, ties into the digital imperative.
And when it comes to supply chains, is that in reference to some capacity to the tensions involved between Australia and China at the moment?
I think that's a piece of it, Peter, but I wouldn't overplay that necessarily. Obviously, it's a component in people's thinking, but there are other aspects, including the fact that supply chains have proven to need to be more agile, and any sort of shock to the economy globally, be it some sort of natural disaster or be it a health issue like COVID, or be it geopolitical issues, do mean that supply chains get stretched and challenged. And so having those closer to home, I think, is a natural reaction to that. And there's community and governmental forces at play there as well, of course.
How much has confidence been rattled, though, when it comes to those guys at the top, those CEOs who are in charge of so much?
Look, confidence has come back. Our survey was first conducted back in January, and then we redid a representative sample back in August to see what had changed, obviously. And there's no doubt that confidence has declined over that 6 or 7 month time frame. You'd expect that. That's intuitively correct for that to occur, but not quite to the levels that one might have anticipated. As I said, there's still some positivity out there, and many CEOs are still predicting some form of growth within the next 3 years.